Well, today is a pretty bad day, but my dear friends, please sit back and relax with your favorite drink, because it's once again time to listen. I still see those things in my sleep, even though it's been many months since I last saw them. You just can't stop yourself from visualizing one standing right above your bed when you close your eyes. But it gets so much worse when these things tear away friends and family from their bodies, instead of having to put a stranger out of their misery. Alright, that was probably too much info to take in, so let's start from the beginning. My name's Brad. I'm a police sergeant. I won't go into specifics about my personal life too much, because that's not what all of this is about. No. I'm here to talk to you about the disease that wiped out, or, well, more like changed, everyone in my hometown. It was a late, chilly August evening. Aside from myself, there was Carter, Jack, and Logan. Now, some quick background info. Me and Carter had joined the police force as friends. However, we'd met Jack and Logan at the task force itself. Now that our vacation was coming to an end, we decided to meet up at a campsite to experience the privilege of breathing the crisp nature air we rarely had time to cherish. We were all sitting on logs, covered in a thick blanket of warmth emanating from the bright campfire raging in front of us. After a while of talking about our lives and upcoming events, we sat in silence, save for the branches that Jack was picking at in the fire, with his shotgun leaning on a small rock behind him. Since we work as law enforcers, we were given permission to own a firearm license and use it when we thought necessary. Wild animals or drunks occasionally slip by our woods at night, so the double barrel was the only real thing ensuring our safety. It might sound a bit strange, but we live in a part of town that doesn't really mind all that. As I look back to the woods, recent memories begin to creep into the front of my mind as I fall into deep thought. I knew that it would be best if I just embraced them and got it over with, but I still wasn't ready to let them go, let alone face them. I tried to clear my mind by attempting to rekindle the conversation as I gaze up to the stars beginning to light the reddish sky. Nice night today, eh? I gesture upwards with my eyes as everybody else glances up to the darkening sky. Yeah, replied Logan. Haven't seen that many stars in a while, added Jack. After that, silence seemed to regain its composure, and I slowly sank back, deep into my mind. Though I never showed anything on the outside, I would occasionally feel locked up thoughts desperately trying to escape my lips. But I didn't want to worry anyone, so for now it was easy enough to brush it off as the aftermath of a dismal incident. It'll pass, I often told myself. As I looked up from the grass, I locked eyes with Carter sitting right across my log. Through all the years together, Carter had learned to read me, even when I put on my most expressionless face. You okay, Brad? He asks. Yeah, I'm fine, I quickly respond as I break eye contact and look away. After a few more seconds of studying me, he sighs. Cut the bull. What's bothering you? He asks, clearly not caring about the fact he'd just caught everyone else's attention. I'm fine. Just thinking about that book I'm writing, I retort. Your crime novel? Come on. You just don't pull that out of nowhere, continues Carter. And besides, you never liked dealing with outlaws. Why remember all that? He says. I stop. Just wanting to tell others that shit they're getting themselves into if they decide to sign up. Preparing them, I unenthusiastically blurt out. And with that, Carter fell quiet, weighing his options on what to say next. Tired of the whole ordeal, I blatantly kicked some nearby dirt as I looked at the sun beginning to touch the horizon. It's your GF, isn't it? I jolt up to see that Logan has pipped into the conversation. How do you... you're in the blues, man. We all go through it. Just pick yourself up and... There's plenty more fish in the sea, he announces as he lets out a quick chuckle. Yeah, me and... I start. I'm about to have my emotions all leave my mouth at once when I hear a big piece of wood fall and I look at the dying fire. I shouldn't tell them. Not yet. We need to spark up the fire again. I'll go get us some firewood. I hastily grab the bag we use for this job and hurriedly leave my group mates, most of whom have gone back to doing their own thing. But as Carter puts the last of the remaining twigs into the fire, he looks at me with suspicion until I'm completely out of his sight. As I walk through the bushes into a more wooded area, I begin to feel irked. Who are they to judge what I do with my life? Carter always questioning everything. I spot a half-snapped tree surrounded by thick branches. Jackpot. The frustration on my face quickly dissipates as I collect the cool but dry timber. That'll last us the entire night, if not more. With a little light to guide me, I collect as much wood as the bag would hold, before a repulsive stench hits my nose. Out of pure disgust, I cough a couple of times before putting my hand up to my nose. I know it sounds cliché, but at that moment, I felt expired blood and the insides of a frog intensified by 200% all around me. I was about to leave when I heard a distorted growling noise. I looked deeper into the woods and only saw darkness as the sun's rays no longer reached this part of the forest. After a few more seconds of not moving an inch, I heard slow, seemingly distant footsteps. It was barely noticeable, but eventually the smell got stronger, and the growl became more aggressive as the footsteps got louder and louder. It was only when my eyes started to water from the lack of blinking, mixed with the rotten stench and the horrific sound mere yards away from me, that I bolted back in the direction of the camp. As I got closer to my destination, I began to hear faint noises of Jack's usual bragging about a girl in a bar and laughs coming from Logan and Carter. However, my sudden burst of hope quickly diminished, as I felt more isolated by the second, as the footsteps behind me had now clearly turned into a run. Eventually, I saw a tiny fire barely illuminating 3 figures past the familiar bushes. I charged through the sharp tree branches hanging in front of me, scraping my face, not daring to look back. Finally, I crashed through the bushes and felt my shoulder impact the rough ground below me. Once my breaths had filled my lungs with an adequate amount of oxygen, I looked up to see that my friends were all gaping at me with a surprised and puzzled look. They all held a bottle of Heineken, which explained why their laughs had suddenly ceased when I plopped down right in front of them. I no longer heard the footsteps, but the relief of that did not compare to the terrified, dreaded feeling that screamed at me. I glared at the double-barrel shotgun, ready to jump on it when Carter put a hand on my shoulder. He was the only person that looked relaxed in our group. But when I looked into his eyes, I only saw curiosity mixed in with concern. "Let's get you up, bud," he says as he offers his hand. I clasp it and get up onto my legs. "All right, what's wrong?" My explanation seemed to come out in a jumble of words, according to Carter's face. But out of all of it, at least he understood that something was wrong and we were in danger. Though hesitant, everyone caved in after a while of convincing. We'd gone hunting yesterday, so our remaining ammo for the shotgun was low anyway. On the way back to the cabin, I managed to repeat everything I said in a more calm demeanor, but in the end, everyone was either looking at me like I'd just uncovered a terrible truth, or that I needed serious medical attention. I've been told that lying isn't my strong suit, though, which is probably the reason why they didn't give me up to a mental hospital right then and there. "So you didn't actually see anyone?" Jack asked, curiously. I nodded as he scratched his stubble beard. "It's your imagination. You've just been tense the past few weeks. It's just an instinct overreaction. Get some sleep, and you'll wake up fresh as a daisy." When we got back to the cabin, we all felt drowsy, dumping our clothes in the living room and heading off to our own small rooms to hit the hay. I vaguely remember wishing everyone a good night with my yawns. I remember hitting my pillow out of exhaustion, and I remember closing my eyes, thinking everything would be okay tomorrow. My optimism wouldn't last. I woke up in a sweat, hearing loud voices downstairs. I flung on a t-shirt and some jeans before running out of my door and feverishly stumbling down the stairs. As I was going down, I heard, "What the hell is that?" and "Get the shotgun." I wasn't surprised to find everyone was already down there aside from Jack, arguing about what to do next. "Hey, what's going on?" I shout. Logan turns to me wide-eyed and explains the situation. "I woke up in the middle of the night to get some water from the kitchen, so I come down here, look out of the window, and I see that." He points to someone standing right outside the backyard window, and I feel a chill run down my spine. As the commotion around me progresses, I continue peering at the person, or at least someone that looks like a person, on the other side of the window. He had pale skin and brown hair that was beginning to fall off, with a black liquid trickling down his mouth. In a sick way, it reminded me of saliva oozing out of a baby's mouth. And then there were the eyes, the white, bloodshot eyes. But that's not what chilled me to the bone. What truly stopped this thing from being called a human were the exotically malicious growls it was making. The same growls I'd heard in